probably have the toe, foot, and heel of your sock knit. And now we're going to talk about some additional considerations for going up and doing the leg, which is the last third of your sock. So sometimes we have people that have the same measurement around their foot and around their ankle. And that's fairly common to make socks that way, even if the measurement around your foot and your ankle is a little bit different. But some of us have really shapely calves or perhaps really skinny ankles. And we want to make an adjustment to the sock so that it fits better on the ankle. You know, we're done with the foot part now and we've made that fit how we like it. But we want to adjust and finesse the fit of the leg of the sock just a little bit. And besides fit, there's one other reason that we might want to adjust the number of stitches in the leg of the sock. And that's if we made a sock that has just plain stitches, stockinette stitch on the foot. And then when we get up and finish the heel, we decide that we want to put a design, a pattern stitch on the leg. Or perhaps we had been thinking of doing one pattern stitch on the leg, but when we actually get up to that point, we've changed our mind and we want to do another pattern stitch, and it has a different number of stitches in the stitch multiple, and so we don't have the exact right number of stitches to do that. So there's a few different things we can do here to adjust the number of stitches and the fit of the leg. The first thing we can do is if we need to change the number of stitches a little bit for the fit or to round off to be the right multiple for our pattern stitch, is we can increase a little bit, maybe up to 10% in the first round of knitting after the heel, or we could spread those out over a couple of rounds of plain knitting after the heel, and then begin working the pattern stitch as we want it for the leg with those additional stitches. Whether we've done this because we want to change the number of stitches to fit the pattern repeat or just because we want to give ourselves more room in the ankle, it's okay to do that by increasing a bit after you finish the heel. If you're only wanting to give yourself a little bit more room in the ankle, you might want to just go up a needle size for working the leg of the sock so that you have looser stitches that'll give you a little bit more room in the leg without having to adjust anything in the stitch counts and working any shaping at all. If you have a skinny ankle, I don't recommend decreasing after you finish the heel. And the reason for that is, no matter how skinny your ankle is, you still have to be able to pull the sock up over your heel. And that heel and instep area on the turn of the foot, that's the biggest part of your foot. And I just worry that if you decrease after the heel, that it might look like it's going to fit, and it might actually fit on the person's ankle if they could get it on, but they might not even be able to put the sock on. So if you want to narrow a sock in for the ankle, I suggest working some ribbing above the heel. And you could do that for the whole leg of the sock, or you could just do it for an inch or two above the heel before you switch to another pattern stitch for the leg of the sock. And when you work the ribbing, you'll normally go down 1 or 2 needle sizes for the ribbing. And one of the reasons you do that is it's part of the physics of knitting that's a little bit of a mystery, is that when you knit stockinette stitch, each individual stitch comes out smaller than the stitches when you knit ribbing. And it has something to do with the way the yarn moves when you switch back and forth from knit to purls. Those knit stitches come out looser on the same size needle. So to have a continuity in the size of the stitches and also to draw that ankle in even more, but still allowing it to be quite stretchy, you can knit ribbing above the ankle. What's nice about that is if you do the ribbing, you can go back to that same ribbing stitch for your cuff and it will tie it in as a design element. So it won't look like you only did it because the sock wasn't fitting right, but it's part of the design of the sock. Because you usually go back to a ribbing stitch at the top of the sock for the cuff because that helps draw in and it keeps the sock from falling down. And back to those of us who might have shapelier calves than others, you might want to increase a little bit more as you are going up the leg of the sock. So it might be okay with you to have the same number of stitches right above the heel that you had in the foot. But then if you're going to make a sock that's maybe 6 or 8 inches long, and we're not talking about a knee sock here, just a crew sock that comes up a little bit higher on those of us who have bigger calves, you can work increases into the patterning. Now, if you are working in a ribbing stitch or some kind of stitch that's built in columns, you can just increase in those purl sections and add more purls in between the columns of ribbing or columns of whatever it is that's between those sections.